Okay, I've been having some trouble with smart layouts. There's been an update, and to put it in the terms that are used in this app, I think it's before there was some auto pausing of smart layout, which made a lot of sense. That was removed. Um, I get that it probably reduces some complication on the coding side of how this app is laid out, because there's a lot of scenarios, but I miss it. I miss it so much. And to explain, I think the use case that I find myself noticing this in is when I'm holding down Option to drag an object in equal distances along an axis. So there's the y-axis or the x-axis, and this is a feature that obviously is OS wide. It's a great time saver when you're moving things, geometry and centering and stuff. So it works as expected in groups. It's not until you start using smart layouts that things go a little haywire. And so here I'm going to hold down Option, do the same command on the square, and you see it's not growing left and right. Well, it is. It's just affected by this group. And so this group is saying this group can only expand to the left. Um, and so if I grab it, it's pushing everything else over. So I understand the logic. And it does the same, if going to the, let's go here. Going to the, come on. Oh, did I do this wrong? Going to the right. Yeah, it does the same thing here. So, and if you put it in center, um, then you can actually see what's happening. But the two side by side, or from the left, from the right, it's disorienting, and you're not able to, as a user, understand. You're like, no, I've put my focus here. This is the object I care about. I want to, like all the other controls here are based on, this is based on the top left corner, right? So my positions, these are all based on whatever. They disregard the group. And so I think if you have this selected, the group, what should effectively happen is you should auto pause the smart layout. And that is kind of, what is expected, what it used to do before, and very, very, very much preferred. Um, there are cases where that other action is kind of wanted, but you can get that by opting in to say, like, okay, so, well, let's do it real quick. Let's say, not none. Let's say left. So now we have this pushing thing. And if I wanted that to happen, I would lock this, and say this can stretch. And then I would grab the group. And that makes sense to me. Doing it in reverse, like if I have the layer selected, I'm thinking about the layer, I'm thinking about the layer's center, the layer's top left corner. As for this, I'm not thinking about the group it's in. And there's a lot of complexity that happens with that. So that's the first thing. That's my preference, and it simplifies the user's mindset greatly. You just have to make sure you're selected the right thing over here. The other thing that's, I think, a bug, well, it's definitely not working the way it should, is if you go across axes. So this is going left to right. So I get that this is, let's put these back in. This is locked here. That makes sense. But going across axes, if I hold down Option, it doesn't do the growth in both directions. Somehow it's also anchored at the bottom, and it shouldn't be. I didn't say anything about the vertical grouping. So, left, right, let's do it from the bottom. The option to grow this across the axes is missing. So that is definitely a bug. You should want to preserve that. If this is off, it should work the same way against the grain 100% of the time. There's no rationale for that not working as it used to. So that's one thing. And I think it also, there's another level of complexity to this that I know with tidy and with grid, there is this concept, and with these like interspaced things, you guys are keeping track of the stuff, and sometimes this works and it's wonderful. I remember I showed someone via screen share. I made a quick edit this way, and they were like so impressed. But the problem is, again, okay, so if I have no layout, works as expected. If I turn on a layout, so left to right, I'm trying to edit one object, and I'm editing two objects. Like, I don't know why this thing is changing. You guys are trying so hard to preserve this interspacing, which isn't my intention. And I can tell you that because I've not selected the group, but I've selected an item. I want to edit the item. So like, maintaining this stuff should be less a priority than this. And so you're actually having to go and like do something destructive to a different object that I had no intention of selecting or editing. You're making a lot of assumptions, and they're just not correct. So, and playing with this and other, um, oops. So it's just like, it's not, I mean, see here, you actually have to break it and overlap it. But if you just paused the layout, you would avoid all this stuff, and it'd be like, yeah, you've ruined that like interspacing stuff. But I do think that interspacing, like that is kind of, it comes after. Trying to automate that and do that as you go, it creates a lot of confusing conditions that you don't want to get into.